Hi everyone, this is Zoe Meggert with Perfectly Planned Content, and I'm super excited to be here this morning with Alyssa Toft of Quill Cue. We're going to be talking about how to market to your clients through intentional gift giving today. I've had a bunch of different people, clients included, ask me this question over the years, and so I'm just super excited to present just a little bit of information on how I think this can be done effectively for a marketing strategy. And Alyssa is going to talk a little bit about her business and how she helps advisors and business owners in general create like a corporate gift giving strategy with her products that I think are very cool and are a really good fit for kind of the exact model that we tell our clients to follow. So let's get into it. And we've got a couple people joining. If you're joining and have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay, a little bit about me in case you're new here. Hi, I'm Zoe Meggert. I'm a coach slash consultant, a speaker, and founder of Perfectly Planned Content. I work with advisors mostly, but also business owners to help them create a marketing strategy that's really content focused to achieve their business and lifestyle goals. And I'm super excited to have Alyssa here with me today. Alyssa, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much, Zoe. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. So I'm the founder of Quill Cue. And as we'll talk a little bit about, the whole idea behind Quill Cue is to spread unexpected joy by sending one handwritten note a month to someone who's not expecting it. And so we can talk a little bit about that as we go on, but I'm just really excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to have you. And like I said, kind of at the beginning here, I think Alyssa's business model is exactly what we kind of tell clients as we're trying to help them build a gift giving strategy to focus on. So, subscription model, ways to be intentional, figuring out a way to kind of make an impact and spread that ripple effect for your client gift giving strategy. So, we're going to kind of talk about, it sounds a little woo woo, but also the non woo woo side of it as well, of why gift giving matters. So, let's dig in here. Here's what we're going to be covering today. So, first, I kind of wanted to talk about the concept of relationship marketing in general. So, why it's important for service based businesses, what you need to know about it if that's going to be an option you pursue. We recommend to all of our clients that they pursue some sort of relationship marketing. That can be generating referrals, leaning into building stronger client relationships that ultimately are stickier, kind of a wide variety of things. I'm also going to be discussing why gift giving is a key component to your marketing strategy. I really believe that giving intentional gifts timed correctly can really help build up client relationships, like I said, generate referrals and grow your firm in a way that's organic to you. Finally, I'm going to be covering kind of some key points to consider for creating client gift giving strategies. So, beyond just the traditional, here's a basket of pears at Christmas or at holidays, we're going to be talking about just other ways that you can kind of dig into that and what questions to ask yourself as a firm owner as you develop that strategy. And then I'll kind of turn it over to Alyssa. We have a couple of questions from her from people who have registered, and we'll open up for Q&A as well. But she's going to tell us a little bit about Quill Cue and just what she is all about, just because I'm super excited about that as well. This is a quote that I really liked, and I really think that it is a good way to build your relationship marketing strategy, as silly as it may sound. The more that you give to your clients, to your prospects, to your COIs, the more likely you are to receive referrals and the ideal type of client type that you're looking for. So first, let's just answer this big question, right? Is gift giving a form of marketing? The big answer is yes. A lot of people feel like gift giving is just something they kind of do to check the box, get the tax deduction, right? Whatever you have here at the beginning of your marketing strategy. But I believe that if you're strategic about it, it can definitely be a form of your marketing or at least one component of your strategy. And that kind of brings us to this concept of relationship marketing. So I always tell my clients that even when you hire a marketing team, right, like Perfectly Planned Content or a consultant or a VA or whoever, your best advertisers and marketers are your current happy clients. So the stronger you can build those relationships up and that go beyond just the sort of transactional financial plan service that you offer, the more likely you are to create sticky client relationships, generate more referrals, and really dig into build that up and build a bigger firm based on the clients who you already know and love. I really think that giving intentional gifts is a way to reinforce this relationship and to sort of secure your brand, right? So that could be figuring out, and we'll kind of talk about questions to ask yourself here in a second, but what time to give gifts to clients, like Are you working with a lot of pre-retirees? So when they retire, sending them something nice and intentional that matches your brand is a good touch point. Or, is there some other timing or some semblance of importance that's key, right? Are a lot of your clients having babies? There's a lot of different things that advisors can think about specifically that sort of initiate this. And then we're also going to talk about, and this is why I think Alyssa's brand is so cool, this sort of subscription model of giving to stay in front of people for longer. So now we're going to kind of chat about why gift giving. I get this question a lot. I know most advisors do it, but most advisors kind of do it, like I said, to check the box. Honestly, all business owners have been there, right? But figuring out a way to incorporate it intentionally into your strategy and why that works. So, first and foremost, I believe that gift giving is scalable. I perfectly planned content, and through my consulting business, that's something we talk about a lot. You don't want to create more work for yourself, right? So, being able to give gifts to clients kind of in bulk or finding an outsourced provider like Alyssa's company to provide a corporate gifting plan for you will create a one to many touch point. So, everybody feels like you're intentionally touching base with them when in actuality, you've set this up months in advance, and it's an easy way to stay in front of people for longer. And so I love sort of figuring out what these scalable elements are and plugging them into your strategy to make it feel much more personal, intentional to your clients. Again, without you don't have to pick up the phone and have a one-to-one touch point with every single person, which I think really helps as your business continues to grow, which is obviously the end goal, right? Second, I think that good gift giving can generate really killer referrals. So whether that's, I often hear that people say, I have a branded mug. And so maybe someone will see the branded mug and then call. I actually don't think that that's typically how this works, but I do think that if you give a gift that kind of sparks interest or curiosity, or again, it's sort of a subscription model that stays in front of people for longer, that's where the referral conversations come in. Most people are not going to turn to a friend or colleague and say, hey, my advisor gave me this mug with a logo on it or this pen with a logo on it. That's not what's going to bring people to your door. What is something that is different, right? So we're talking not the standard, I think I referenced like the basket of pears or basket of fruit at the holidays. We're trying to think of something outside of the box that catches their interest and attention, which again is kind of why I brought Alyssa here, because I think her firm does a really great job of that. And that's what's going to start conversations with people and say, hey, oh, like I actually got this from my advisor. And that kind of funnels people toward you by way of referral. Finally, it reinforces the client relationship, which we just kind of discussed as well. And I just really think that internal marketing is what I call it, is something that cannot be discounted. So, as an advisor, especially, your relationships are built on a foundation of trust. Money is intensely intimate. So, the more that you can think about ways to reinforce that relationship and create a sticky client relationship where they're not going anywhere, they trust you even more. You're showing that you care beyond just, again, the maybe quarterly or even semi annually times that you meet with them a year. I think that that can really help build a strong firm with clients who, again, become your greatest sort of marketers because they're out there spreading the good word about what you do or how much they love you. If someone asks, they're going to be more willing to talk about you. They might be more willing to follow you on social media, share a blog post. It's just another way to sort of think of it as like investing back into them, right? So you're depositing into that relationship bank in hopes of someday taking withdrawal by way of referral, or maybe it's increased AUM. The more they trust you, the more they're willing to bring business in just from their own personal accounts. There's a bunch of different benefits to that. So now we're going to kind of talk about the gift giving strategy. So I kind of boiled it down to, I like to try and make things as simple as we can. So here's sort of your plan, right? So who, what, when, and why. First of all, who? Who's receiving the gifts? Usually it's just all of my clients. But I think that there's a time and a place for COIs to receive gifts, maybe a certain level of client or a type of client at a certain point in their life. Like we talked about pre-retirees finally taking the leap to retirement, or maybe work with business owners who are selling. That sort of who question can help you boil down exactly what type of gift and when you're giving it. Next up is what, right? So, what gifts are going to make an impact that you want to have? A lot of firms find that like charitable giving, handwritten notes, and I can send out a couple of different resources as well after this presentation for companies that do that too. And we're going to talk again about Alyssa's company as well, that I think is really impactful and intentional. And so I think that kind of answers the what question here. But again, thinking about what's going to be meaningful to your client. So not just a general, everyone's going to like this bottle of wine or this corporate event or kind of a standard. And again, we've all fallen into this, but sort of a standard gift that just goes to everybody. I think figuring out a way to make it more intentional and custom based on the person or what they're interested in, or again, I think that's why Alyssa's service is so good because it's scalable and it has something for everybody. I think that that answers your what question. Then when. So we kind of talked about giving it in a timely way, giving it around the holidays. You want to think about throughout the year and the client relationship process. When can I give this gift that's going to maximize this investment into this relationship piggy bank, right? Is it just during the holidays so they think of me once a year? Is it before an annual meeting? Is it before a big ask? Like if you're going to do a referral campaign, or the SEC now allows Google and Facebook reviews. Are you going to be asking for client reviews? Something like that might kind of spur a gift as well. Why are you pursuing this strategy is sort of the final question to ask. So, are you pursuing this because you're interested in just deepening the relationship? Do you want to generate referrals and stay in front of people? There's a variety of options there. So, first, let's talk about who. We kind of just dug into this, but first and foremost, think about which clients are receiving this gift, right? Is it every client? I find that, about once a year, there is time for every client to receive just like one big corporate gift. So that could be holidays. A lot of people do New Year's now just to kind of skip holidays and figuring out who celebrates what. Is it Thanksgiving? We're grateful for you. That can be really positive as well. But I also think, again, figuring out if you have like a top tier or level A client that you want to photocopy those clients to generate more of that exact person to work with, grow your book that way. Maybe they get a different gift that's a little bit more intentional. And I think that's okay too, right? To sort of specialize. I think too, and we'll talk about some of Quill and Cue's offerings, but they offer gifts for people's kids as well. And so if you have clients who just had a baby or who have young ones around the holidays, something like that might actually be more meaningful to them than trying to give something to a parent who kind of has everything and is busy enough during that season, right? You don't want your gift basket to drown in all of the other gift baskets they're receiving. Next, kind of asking yourself what. So, what gift will actually make an impact on the lives of my clients? I read something interesting just kind of in doing some research for this presentation. And someone had said that if you're going to give a gift, it either needs to be really useful or like very valuable to them. And I don't think that has to mean expensive, right? So, I think that it could be, I'm trying to think of like the best gifts I've ever received. So, a lot of times it's stuff that I just know I'm going to use in my day to day. So, a travel coffee mug when I started taking the girls to daycare, right? That's easy. That's and I'm going to use it every single day. Sometimes, so at Christmas once, someone got us like a gift opener tool, and we used it. We used it with the kids. We used it with my husband's like nieces and nephews. Like there's a lot of different options there as well. Those things can be branded too. Again, putting your logo on it is always positive, but I think that you can also pick something that's intentional and valuable to the client that maybe isn't a daily use item. So that's kind of like where Quill and Q comes in, and they do this sort of subscription, one card a month service, and they have corporate gifting packages as well. But I think that helps because it helps your clients, right, or your COIs or whoever you're gifting this to, stay in front of people for longer and make positive connections with people in their own lives, which is something we're all striving to do. So I think it helps them achieve a personal goal, which is also very cool. I also kind of like, again, the subscription model for keeping top of mind year round. I've also seen some advisors give things like meal services, coaching, gift cards to museums for families, things like that, that they know are maybe not super high cost, but are going to have a long term value, be an event, make a memory. And it's not going to be, again, a one time during the holidays, stay top of mind thing. And then finally, sort of what sort of gifts are going to spark conversations and referrals for my specific client? So I know, like for me in particular, not a lot of our clients are retiring, right? So if I gave them something more focused on like journaling out their retirement lifestyle strategy, like that just might not resonate with them. But we've given things like coffee heading into the holiday season or during tax season. We've had some of our clients send like pizza to COI CPA offices because they know they're too busy to order out lunch during tax season. There's a lot of small gifts like that that sort of can spark conversations and referrals because they're timed well and they're so meaningful. So think about what your specific client would talk about with their clients or their colleagues, right? Next up, we're going to kind of think about when. So, again, do clients want to hear from me at a certain time in their life where they need support? Are you working with widows? The anniversary of a death can be a big sort of time for something intentional and to reach out. Just again, to solidify the trust in that relationship. It could be the holidays, right? Maybe they do just want to hear from you kind of at the end of the year to say hey and check in. Maybe they've come to expect something from you. And so that sort of is a nice way to continue a touch point. They know they're going to get a card. Maybe you level it up this year with a gift as well. Thinking through again what milestones they might reach. So we talked about like anniversary of a death or birth of a new baby, going into retirement. All of these are big milestones that we can kind of navigate and send gifts around. Finally, is holiday gifting something your firm is even interested in? I find a lot of firms sort of prefer, and we've done this as well in recent years. We always did sort of a themed holiday or year end gift. And we actually switched it to Thanksgiving because I felt like it was more on brand for us, we always try and come from a place of gratitude. So gifting something around that time that shows that we're giving back into our clients and to just sort of the greater community around a time where gratitude is so special. It's something that we have found really works well for us and our clients seem to like. It kind of helps us step out of the drowning noise of the, the constant holiday gifts that people receive as well. So that's something to think about too. Finally, ask yourself why. So, what end result do you want to get from giving these corporate gifts? Is it just increased client happiness, right? And that's okay. I think that that's actually a very valid thing to try and score yourself on every year through a client survey. It's just client satisfaction, and intentional gift giving can certainly sort of boost those scores. Also, thinking through, do I need to push to reinforce specific client relationships right now? Is going into tax season when I know CPAs are going to be referring financial advisors to folks for year round tax planning, a good time to sort of think about a gift giving strategy. And what end result do I want to garner from that? Is it booking coffee shop chats? Is it trying to connect with COIs to talk more? Do you want to get more referrals from clients? Thinking about a specific end goal can help you clarify both when you're giving gifts and sort of what gift makes the most sense to achieve that result. Finally, we're going to kind of talk about just like this corporate gift giving strategy, right? So these are sort of the things that I boiled down to really think through. So, first, your strategy needs to be time sensitive. We've talked about this, whether it's generating referrals at a certain time of year, COI gifts at a certain time of year that's going to be really meaningful and helpful to them. Trying to figure out what time of the year makes the most sense. That maybe it's the holidays, maybe it's not, right? I think it's okay to have multiple sort of strategies in place for when you send time sensitive gifts. High impact or value, again, this doesn't have to mean that your gift has to be super expensive by any means. I think that finding something valuable to the person who you're working with and what they're going to use and really is going to make an impact in either their day to day or their general lifestyle, like what's going to upgrade something they already do. I think that that's a really big thing to consider. And again, I think that's kind of a good way where Quill Cue comes in. Creates an experience. So we always like to say that working with your firm should be more than just a service, right? It should be an experience. Clients should be referring colleagues and friends to you because they feel like their experience with your firm is so much more than just, I got my financial plan and now we're implementing and then it's done. And I think that gifts can really help kind of create that extra touch point where they really feel like they're part of the family. We always say, make sure that it feels like it's a community, like all of your clients are bought into this greater firm XYZ community. And finally, your strategy should sort of foster relationships, right? So consider how your unique gift idea will create a deeper relationship or show that you care, or how are you going to use that to strengthen the relationship you already have with clients. That's kind of just my short little spiel here on how to gift with intention with your clients as part of your marketing strategy. I've linked Alyssa's website here. This is my website. You know how to get a hold of me. And now I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa here, and let me make sure that she is on the stage as well. Okay. kind of stop sharing my materials. Hey, Alyssa, can you hear us?
Hey, yep. All right.
Sorry, I think you might have gotten kicked off the stage there, but I brought you
I
back. So
did, yeah. But
awesome. Well, we just wrapped up sort of this presentation on just like gift giving. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about Quill Cue and what you guys are all about?
sure, yeah. And I'm gonna actually start sharing my screen now.
Yep, go for it.
Um, okay, let's see. And let me know. Can you see it now, Zoe?
Yep, I can. That looks
Okay,
great.
great. Well,
Love your
Zoe,
brand, by the way. As someone who's sort of a brand junkie, I just think that your guys' branding is so fantastic.
thank you so much.
Hmm.
Yeah, and thank you so much for kind of highlighting some of the ways that Quill and Q meets some of the objectives that you talked about. I
Hmm.
do feel like it's a really great fit, and
I
um,
really do.
yeah, I mean, it's. I'll just start going through the presentation and give some background, but I feel like you
Yeah.
already touched on a lot of great points with all of that. So, Quill and Q, how does it work? So, Quill and Q is, like I mentioned before, all about spreading unexpected joy and
Hmm.
trying to inspire people to send one handwritten note a month to someone who might not be expecting it. So, this isn't necessarily birthday, anniversary cards, although some of the
Hmm.
card designs are pretty universal, I guess, that you could use it
Hmm.
for that. But the idea is to get people sort of thinking about who to recognize, who to show their appreciation and gratitude
Hmm.
for. So typically what you would do as just an individual customer is you would go online to quillingq.com, you sign up for your individual subscription. The picture here is of the packet you receive. There's an adult subscription and a kid subscription, which Zoe alluded
Hmm.
to earlier. And so for the adult subscription, you get a packet that looks like this. It includes the a beautiful greeting card. The stamp is also included, of course, the envelope, and then something inside the packet that's called a cue card. So the cue card, what is it? The cue card is an insert in the packet that contains prompts about who to send your card to and what to say. So you might
Hmm.
already know who you want to send your card to that month, and that's fine. But if you want some inspiration or you're looking for kind of a surprise idea, that's where the
Hmm.
cue card comes in. And so like, for example, the one that's showing on the screen right now, it says, send this to the hardest working person you know. And it kind of goes through and talks about, things to think about that person, things to tell them, and
Hmm.
kind of just jogs your mind a little bit. Some other examples, I just pulled a couple up here is like, send this to the person who encouraged you to take a leap of faith. And there
Hmm.
was another one about send this to the person who deserves all the attention and accolades in the world, but never thinks to ask for it.
Hmm.
So it's kind of giving people this chance to think about people in their lives that they really appreciate. And we all have that, right? Where we're thinking about, gosh, this person
Hmm.
is so great and they've come through for me so many times or whatever it would be. But we probably don't sit down and send a handwritten note to them, really expressing our
Hmm.
gratitude and the impact. We all know the impact that that has, right? Like when we go to our
Hmm.
mailbox, the first thing I open, usually is if I see a handwritten note um,
Hmm.
and something addressed to me, it's like, you're just like ripping into it. You can't wait to see what that is. And so
Hmm.
that's hopefully, what is being created with Quilling Q.
Yeah, and
There,
I actually like this idea as well. Sorry, not to like cut you off, but
no,
for
thank you.
advisors who I talk to a lot of clients who are advisors who are so busy and they kind of struggle with things like networking, right? So
Mhm.
whether even if you could corporate gift this sort of package to a client, but also just getting it for yourself as an advisor or business owner. I know I've thought about it. Just like figuring out a way to this is awesome. How can I connect with COI today? Like who in my network list has inspired me, who I need to reach out to. And that can
Mhm.
also strengthen relationships, generate referrals. Just maybe they're going to clients, maybe they're not, maybe they're going to a mentor or someone who refers a lot of people your way who you just know you need to thank but haven't really done anything intentional for. I think this is a really beautiful way to do that.
Thanks. Yeah, Zoe, that's
Hmm.
that's something that I think about a lot too, is just,
Hmm.
people in your network, mentors, old bosses that you've had.
Hmm.
Obviously clients is a great example, especially for
Hmm.
this webinar that we're doing of just, like that's the kind of thing that is so memorable. I mean, I know I can think of, colleagues who have sent handwritten notes to me
Mhm.
over the holidays, and it's like I just
Oh,
those are
yes.
the people I remember,
Mhm.
right? And I immediately kind of have a favorable,
Mhm.
feelings towards them. And so that's hopefully, that this is
Mhm.
something that can be used not just in your personal life, but in your professional life as well. Um,
100%.
the kid subscription, like you mentioned earlier, Zoe, is
Mhm.
super fun as well. So of course the designs are different, more whimsical designs, more kid-friendly designs.
Mhm.
And then there's a whole set of cue cards that go along with the kid subscription. So let's see, for example, like this one is, close your eyes and picture your favorite teacher. And then it kind of
Mhm.
goes through and gives kids some prompts about, write one or two things you love about
Mhm.
your favorite teacher, and kind of gives them some ideas. There's another one about send this card to someone new. Maybe they're a
Mm.
new kid
Mhm.
at school, a new teammate, or a new neighbor, and then think about
Mhm.
how you felt when you were new somewhere and kind of gets
Yes.
kids thinking,
Mhm.
just about how to be kind to the people in their lives and start that practice and just start the
Mhm.
practice of a handwritten note. How do I
Mhm.
address an envelope? Where do I put the stamp? It's just a fun activity, that, when Zoe and I were talking about this, really the kid subscription could be a great gift to your clients,
Oh my gosh, yes.
because
Because I
it
know
is.
even, like, for myself, like, I think about, like, colleagues or, mentors or whoever in my network send Andrew and I, like, corporate gifts even from his business as well. And, like, we don't need another branded mug, right? Like, even though, like, we love those, we love mugs, don't get me wrong. If you have mugs, don't hesitate to send them. But, we would way prefer something intentional for, like, our twin daughters that they can, again, trying to raise empathetic and thoughtful humans. I know a lot of advisors who give gifts on finance or like a kids finance course, or they manage a 529 plan pro bono for clients who have kids. I think this is another sort of nice way for clients, a little bit older kids, to not just celebrate, yay, you had a baby, but hey, we're going to like encourage this family relationship ongoing, which I think
Mhm.
is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, and it's just something, you know, um, even with my own kids, I know they just get a lot of stuff, around the
Mm-hmm,
holidays or birthdays or whatever it is. And
hmm
giving something that I don't know, like this is still a super fun thing every month, for them to look
hmm
forward to getting in the mail, and they get to open the packet and they get to write out the card, a real card. I
Yes.
know kids like making their own homemade cards, and we definitely do that.
100%.
And it's so fun, but when I give them the chance to send, a real card, they're like over the moon about it, and
Yes, and,
super
like, they get to
excited.
choose. I think it's so nice to, like, empower them as well. Just you
Mhm.
guys get to choose, like, who inspired you, who's new in your and, like, thinking of that through, I think that's a huge gift to give, like, clients who are parents for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, this again, in talking with Zoe, we were talking about how this could be just a really cool gift
Mhm,
to give to clients,
mhm.
who have kids.
Yep.
Um, the other thing that's been really fun, Quill Cue launched in November of 2020, so we're coming up on being 1 year old. Um,
Congrats, that's so exciting.
yeah, thank you. The other thing that's been really fun is we've done collaborations with different
Mhm,
letterpress companies across the country. And it's just so great working with these, small shops. There's,
mhm,
sometimes just an owner and a few employees, and
mhm,
they're just working on these big, antique letterpress machines and making just
mhm.
this gorgeous work. So here you see something from, it's called Brown Parcel Press. They had some other beautiful designs that we
Oh,
have
that one's cute.
featured.
Love
Yeah,
that.
I love that. Dahlia Press in Seattle is another one that we've
Mhm,
love featuring their work. There's Big Wheel Press. That's
mhm,
one of the cards that you saw. And so it's really fun to feel like, through Quill and Q, you're also
mhm,
able to support some of these small shops that are just doing amazing work and putting out so
mhm.
much beauty in the world.
And honestly,
So,
that's important to a lot of both our clients as advisors and their clients. So we work with a
yeah.
lot of advisors who have like a sustainability push or a small business push or like a local community
Mm,
push. And so like being able to support like a small shop or a small creator would be really meaningful to a lot of our clients, which I think is kind of cool. And again, a nice referral generating point because I know like if someone gifted me something that supported a small shop, I would be all
mhm.
over like telling friends about that. I would think that's super awesome. So again, just a way to be intentional about your strategy and thinking through what's going to matter to your specific client base.
Yeah, and that's such a good point too, because
Mhm.
for a lot of the cards where I've done sort of a collaboration, I'm sorry, I can't see my own camera here, so I'm not sure if it's showing
Oh,
up,
no, you're
but
fine. Yeah, you're good.
it it'll do Dahlia Press for Quilling Cue. So, it gives people a
Mm,
chance to say,
mhm,
okay, what's Dahlia? I mean, they'll know that the gift is coming from Quilling Cue because
mhm,
you'll do sort of an introduction of that gift. But each month, they'd have a chance to look for, I mean, I guess it's not every month that I
mhm.
feature a letterpress designer, but often, when I do the back of the card, we'll specify which letterpress it is.
Yeah, no, I
And
think that's awesome.
yeah, and so then that just gives another,
Mhm,
opportunity for that small business to generate some interest. So
mhm,
Quill and Q, what is great about it? The one thing that I keep hearing is just that it gives people a way to either get or stay connected.
mhm,
So, staying connected has been really important during this time where we've spent so much time apart, but also just reconnecting. Like I
mhm,
said, maybe you get a cue card and you think about someone, an old professor or whatever it
mhm,
might be who made an impact on you 20 years ago and you
mhm,
never told that person. So kind of
mhm.
reconnecting with people is, another big feature, I think.
Yes, mhm,
Um, and Zoe, I know you've mentioned it so many times during this webinar is this idea of
mhm,
intentionality, right? And kindness and gratitude practice. The other
mhm,
thing that I am hearing is just about how a handwritten note really is something that people keep. I mean,
mhm.
it is a keepsake. It is something that you hang on to. I know I personally I have a very, very hard time throwing away any handwritten
Oh,
note.
I do too.
Like I have
Mhm,
drawers that, just I just can't get rid of them. So
mhm,
and it's something I do love stumbling upon and looking back on and remembering how thoughtful someone was or the nice things that
mhm,
someone said.
mhm.
Also the simplicity of it is something that I think is attractive. So
I
it's
agree.
just
Mhm,
one card once a month, and it's sort of
mhm,
this kit that's all packaged for you. It doesn't feel
mhm,
overwhelming. It doesn't, it'd be different if you were getting 5 cards a month and you had to figure out who to
mhm.
send all these handwritten notes to. It's just one card once a month, and it's something to look forward to. And again, it just feels achievable since it's only one.
I
Um,
agree, and we talk to a lot of clients about gift giving where they wanna give something like this, or they wanna give something intentional, maybe recurring, and so they'll try to give, like, an experience. So they try and give
mhm,
a date night or a family event or, a gift card to a museum, which, again, I think are all fantastic ideas as well.
mhm,
But often for a busy family, especially in the middle of COVID, like, that can be sort of a challenge to navigate, and I like the simplicity of this as well, is that it's low effort and low stakes for your clients if you're going to be giving this to them. But
mhm.
it's also something that's going to be really memorable and recurring. So, like, kind of a win win on both situations. Like, it is an experience, but it's not forcing them to get a babysitter or, do any of this other stuff. Like, they still can
Yeah.
have an intentional moment where they're thinking about you who gifted them this intentional moment, which is a very, like, nice, recurring, like, tie a little bow on it situation.
I completely agree. And I think that's one of the most, at least from a corporate gifting standpoint, one of the most attractive features of this is that,
Hmm.
each month that your client gets their Quilling Cue packet is another opportunity for them
Hmm.
to think of you.
Hmm.
It's not a one and done. And it is, the thing too about handwritten notes is that of course
Hmm.
the person who receives a handwritten note is thrilled and
Hmm.
it's memorable for them and it makes an impact for them, but it also makes such an impact for the person sitting down to think about they
I
appreciate
agree.
why
Hmm.
and writing it. I mean, I know I feel so good thinking
Hmm.
about that person, actually writing it down, getting it in the mail, like it feels like you accomplished something. It's just such
Yes,
a good feeling
100%. Mhm,
from the sender standpoint. And so you're giving your clients that opportunity once a month to feel like they're making
mhm.
an impact in someone's life.
Yep, and
Um,
again, I think even for business owners or advisors who just bought this for themselves, like, what a
mhm.
game changer to be able to expand your network in this sort of intentional and, like, gratitude-focused way. I know a lot of people who I've talked to, networking used to be a really big part of their marketing, and with the last, whatever, 18 months of
Yeah.
COVID, that's really kinda gone down the tubes, and they feel like they're Zoom burned out, like, they're done networking virtually, it's not working, they're tired of booking virtual coffee shop chats or whatever, like, it's not
Yep.
as fun. And so, like, this is a nice way that's, again, low effort, low stakes to stay in front of your network or to expand your network even by reaching out kind of custom to someone who maybe you don't talk to as often and generate more referrals that way, just stay top of mind. And I just think that it's a really beautiful experience.
Well, thank you.
Mhm,
um, the other thing that I've heard too is just, it sort of solves an inventory problem, that they have, and
mhm,
I'll go into this a little bit with some statistics just about greeting cards. But they
mhm,
have a card on hand, and the convenience of having the stamp right there. I cannot tell you how many times I have
mhm,
heard, that the stamp is so key to this packet, which has
mhm,
been, interesting. I didn't realize how much people value that piece of it, but just having a stamp right there, not having,
mhm.
again, it's like this kit that is just all ready for you to just move forward with it.
Yep. Mhm,
The market for just greeting cards in general, is, there's a Americans, it's estimated that there are 6.5 billion greeting cards purchased each year, between 7 and 8 billion dollars estimated annual retail sales, and that 9 out of every 10 households buy greeting cards each year. So, again,
mhm,
even, if you were to take aside all of sort of the emotional impact that Quill and Q could
mhm,
have, at least even if you take that out of the equation, you're still giving clients
mhm,
something that they, would probably have to go out and buy and will use,
mhm,
because it's just sort of, I mean, I think we all know, like, that what that feels like to be in a scramble for a greeting card and it's not there. And so at least,
mhm,
I think you're giving your clients something that they will hopefully need anyways at some point during the year.
mhm, mhm. Well, we may have lost Alyssa for just a second here. That's okay. Um, but just to sort of expand on this while she's reconnecting here, I actually think that this makes a lot of sense. Just as we were talking about gifting something that's intentional and that your clients are going to use, again, I feel like there's a reason I picked her for this presentation, is I just feel like this matches a lot of our brand kind of values. So empowering clients to tell their story, forcing connections, building a brand and a marketing strategy based on those intentional connections and relationships. I just think that makes a lot of sense. And so we were just in a situation last week where we were sort of quote unquote scrambling for a card, and you don't think about it until you need it. But we needed a thank you card, and there was like not a single thank you card in the entire house. So it was like a quick run to Target, and I way would have rather had something more intentional already on hand that I had kind of in my back pocket and that I was ready for. Okay, we'll give her another second here just to see if she logs back on. I apologize for the internet connectivity issues. But in the meantime, if anyone has any questions, let me know. I've got a couple that people submitted ahead of time that I'll be asking Alyssa when she gets back on. But feel free to drop them in the chat just about gifting in general, even that I could answer, maybe not specific to Quill and Q, but how to incorporate that into your strategy. Some questions that we often hear, again, are kind of about knowing when to give a gift or knowing what gift to give. One of the reasons I picked Quill and Q for this presentation, and we're pretty picky about our providers who we sort of spotlight. I liked that it was intentional and ideally just low cost and low effort for the advisor. So, like, we don't want to create a labor intensive solution. We want something that's going to be scalable and easy for you guys to implement. So, being able to reach out to a provider like Quill and Q, I'll send a couple other sort of businesses that do things like intentional charitable gifting. There's a business that I really like that I just recently found called Handwritten that does handwritten cards that it looks handwritten, but you're not writing them, where you can kind of input text and it looks handwritten to send out. If you wanted to send cards like to clients again during milestones or something, that can be a really good option. And also a couple of different ideas on like how to leverage like a VA to help with that too. And there's a few different ways to make that scalable, but I kind of liked just this idea in general. Again, just trying to figure out an intentional way to give client gifts. We're kind of entering gift giving season. I like this idea for Thanksgiving. I like it for New Year's or holidays in general, but I just like sort of like kicking off both a gratitude season and a new year with this idea of, hey, clients, let's connect with, people who mean a lot to you. Lauren, punk post for something more fun. Sources, artist, tech, testimony. Oh, that's super fun. I'll have to include that in the roundup because like I said, we get this question a lot. I just found another business as well that offers like they do corporate parties, but they're virtual and they're like cooking parties or mixology parties, that I find can also be kind of a good quote unquote gift for people who don't need more stuff. Inviting them to something virtual, like a client appreciation event, especially for like we talk to your clients for advisors. Maybe that's clients who you love working with or who have the most AUM with your firm or what have you. I think that something like that could be good too. I'll include them in the roundup. Any other questions or things like that, just as we kind of button up here? If no, that's okay too. It looks like Alyssa might be having some issues getting back on, but if you have questions for Alyssa, let me know. I can send them to her. The few things that she had kind of told me just in our prep before this call were the what is it about Quill and Cue that customers like was one question that people had asked, and she kind of touched on that in her presentation, which I appreciated. One thing that she had said was that customers really like the simplicity and just the ease of the offering, and being able to create like an emotional connection, whether you're an advisor sending those out. I know I'm considering this as a business owner just for networking purposes. I know like I save people's handwritten notes who send me thank yous or whatever throughout the years. So I think that would be kind of a good way to do that. And we also asked her about how to set up corporate gifting. I'll include some links to her website on her corporate gift options. And I think that she's done a really good job of making this, again, seamless for the advisor or business owner, which is one of the reasons I like kind of teaming up with her here. And then in what ways does this help customers stand out? And again, I think we touched on that as well. So figuring out how to be intentional with your timing, give us something that is sort of an experience without having it be too heavy of a lift. I think that those are all good points as well here for her. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This was super fun. Again, I apologize about the connectivity issues here at the end, but it's technology. What can you do? I'll send Alyssa's information after this call. We're also going to be creating sort of a blog series. I know we've done a few sort of service provider interviews the last few months, kind of rounding those up. We have, I think, 2 more left before the end of the year that I'm about to start promoting. So keep an eyeball out for that. I'm super excited about those. We're going to talk about marketing automation with a special guest and marketing operations. So this will be awesome. Thank you again. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.